I'd like to take this opportunity to explain to you how we do feedback after assessments in science lessons. I'm going to talk about how we analyse the data from the exams and how we use this to help the students to improve. Here you can see a grid. This grid comes from a spreadsheet where we have recorded the data from a test that contains 13 questions. Earlier in the spreadsheet we recorded the marks per question, and this has generated a percentage per question. As you can see, any question that scored over 75% has gone green, any question over 50% is amber, and anything under 50% is red. This allows us to quickly see which questions were answered really well and which questions weren't. Towards the end of the paper, we can see a large proportion of red questions. This is often due to the fact that some students may not have reached the end of the question. Timing in exams is incredibly important. We can see that question 6 and question 2 were some of the best answered questions in the whole paper, and that many students struggled with the first part of question 1, but also question 8 and 9. You would expect this to be the case because the paper tends to get progressively harder as it goes through. Very quickly, the teacher can see which questions he or she might need to go through with the whole class. We would display something like this on the board after the end of an exam. Here, in this one, for Year 9, you can see that questions 6 and 7 were really strong questions, but question 3 was clearly a question that people struggled with. It is quite likely the teacher would go through question 3 with everybody. Here we have a list of extra improvement tasks, one for each question that the students can do based on the key things that students found difficult in that question. The teachers have also given an extension task allowing students to try their own exam question. So when students get their feedback, they would receive some feedback that may look like this. The breakdown of their name and their form would also give them information about their CAT target, the CAT score, their target grade, and also their overall mark and the percentage they scored and the mastery grade that would equal. Students can get all of this data on Go for Schools, but this just means that they have the opportunity to see how they did in relation to their target. You can see here the student has met their target, which is fantastic. As we go down a bit further, you can see the breakdown for each question has been listed, so the students know very clearly what the topic of each question was. Now, in this key assessment, they had contained questions around the reactivity topic and the genetics topic, and we've even calculated a percentage for each of these. We can see that the student did significantly better on the genetics section, on the reactivity section, so that's where they need to focus their work. However, when you look at the questions, question 6 and question 9 were clearly the best questions, whereas question 10 and 11 were their worst questions. They also receive a literacy target that tells them how they did. So this student has used good use of key scientific vocabulary with good spelling throughout the paper. That's really important to ensure the students maximise their literacy. The progress tells them whether they met their CAT target, or they just missed it, or they were far away. Some students have exceeded their CAT target and they get an excellent. They asked them how they feel about the test, and we asked them to circle whether they were happy with the test, okay with the test, or disappointed, and we asked them to suggest a reason why. Sometimes students may say that they wish they'd have read the questions better, some students may wish to have prepared better, some students just didn't finish the questions, so they need to work on their timing. This is a good reflective task for the students to consider. We then highlight their strength and their improvement tasks, so they know which questions they did best at, but they also know which questions they need to work at. So sometimes the task is included in here, and sometimes we have provided them a task just as above. So in this case, we have given them the task that they need to do in their feedback. We provide the other tasks on the board for the students so that if they want to go and improve other questions that they didn't get 100% on, they are welcome to do so. Once they have done that, they can get the mark scheme and they can have a look and they can correct their answers in green pen. This shows that they are being very reflective. They can also see here where the grading was. Our student here scored 65% overall, so they can see that they were just inside the mastery grade. If they want to be confident to ensure mastery in all of their targets, they may need to be ensuring that they're working a little bit higher than that. So they want to make sure that they make all their improvements so that they can see the difference. In Key Stage 4, the assessment page may look slightly different. Here is an assessment page for one of the mocks. So the exams are made up of 3 papers, so we don't give a grade for individual papers because we just give them a percentage, because the grade is calculated by the total of all the papers. Here we can see that the students scored 26 out of 70, which gave them 37%. As they scroll down here, you can see how many raw marks they got on each question and what percentage that would be. Again, we can highlight that question 3 was their best question, and we can see that question 4 was definitely their worst question. Literacy, however, the student used good use of key scientific vocabulary with good spelling. For Key Stage 4, we asked the students to select their best and worst questions and identify their worst questions, and from that they will be given improvement tasks. This could be a range of things, from tasks similar to those in Year 9, or for asking them to redo a question. They can also correct the questions that they got wrong after they have completed those improvement tasks, and then they would have the mark scheme that they would be able to self-assess. They can tally up the marks that they would have got and try to calculate the grade they could have got by providing them with a grade boundary. This child got 37% on this paper. 37% on a foundation paper equates to a 3-3 grade. So that student needs to work hard to ensure that they score in the 4-4 grade. I hope this has helped you understand how our assessment feedback works, and you can see that the assessment is really personalised and individual for every student, and is an effective way of them being able to improve their knowledge after the assessment has taken place. This is almost as important as the preparation beforehand, because being reflective allows the students to identify their weaknesses and work on those to ensure that in the future assessments they do not make the same mistakes again. Thank you for your time.